Look, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. It will, but it's not going to replace the dollar, unfortunately. I do think we're going to head into an asset economy bust. But like this whole fiat system that I just described here, unfortunately, is here to stay for our lives. All these problems that we have are not going to get solved either because they're kind of endemic to fiat money, the banking system, and not just fiat money, right? The combination of central banks, partial reserve. I think Bitcoin may save you and me. I don't think Bitcoin's saving the America. We're not hyper-Bitcoinizing. If you pulled out fractional reserve banking right now, the US would go into a depression. You know, like it can't survive on its own anymore.
Just this week, we saw crypto bulls like Tom Lee, Michael Saylor, and Fred Krueger himself double down on a $1 million price target for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is heading for an unprecedented price milestone, and it's closer than anyone expects. According to Fred Krueger, a seasoned investor and Wall Street veteran, who foresees a financial tidal wave that could catapult the cryptocurrency to historic highs. Krueger highlights a dramatic influx of wealth flowing into Bitcoin from traditional finance institutions. He emphasizes that most people underestimate the sheer scale of this movement, and as more institutions jump into the Bitcoin game, he predicts the surge could surpass anything the market has seen before. Bitcoin sits just over $119,000, still up over 2% in the past month. Krueger says we're about to witness unprecedented territory in cryptocurrency. Let's get right into the interview as he gives his latest Bitcoin prediction and where we're headed in the coming months. Drop your comments down below and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here.
All mega bubbles are the same. I don't think Bitcoin's going to save us, to be honest. I think Bitcoin may save you and me. I don't think Bitcoin's saving the America. We're not hyper-Bitcoinizing. The only thing I think we have to realize that we can't solve the world. We can only solve it for ourselves. Like, that's it. I mean, it's sad in a way, right? It's sort of sad that, you know, we discovered this great money. Satoshi discovered it, but it's not, the system is too big and it's too entrenched. If you look at the amount of money out there, you know, that $150 trillion of M3 right, and another $150 trillion of bonds out there.
Yep.
That's 300 trillion. And that's going to be 600 trillion in 10 years. Now, even if we get to 20 trillion, okay, so let's say we get to 20 trillion. That's 3% of the money supply and bonds. 3%. That's in 10 years. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, in 20 years, let's say we get to 20 trillion. I'm sorry, 200 trillion. Let's say we got to 200 trillion in 20 years. Unfortunately, we're now at a 1.2 quadrillion. So we're still only at 20%. You see what I'm saying? We're at 20% of the paper out there in 20 years. It's like, we're not, like, the numbers are too big. You know what I mean? Like, we will lose against, we're not lose, but we're not catching up in the next 20 years. So at the end of the day, it can move. Look, it's just people saying you're too bearish, blah, blah, blah. Look, I think it's probably going to stay at the power law. It's probably not going to go. If it went any faster, it would be, as you say, problematic. And so, you know, look, I think we just basically have to live with the fact that we are going to be in this really, we're going to have a super appreciating asset. It's going to be absolutely fantastic for people who hold it. But unfortunately, we can't solve the problem of the world with Bitcoin, which I think could be relevant for potentially where we're headed in the United States. Okay, so 1980, and what's happening here is Paul Volcker. Okay, Paul Volcker is started in 79, and he's trying to solve inflation. So he jacks interest rates up to 20%. They peak in 1980, and then he jacks them again in 1981. And what happens is the dollar. There's all this money that starts going into the dollar, right? Because the interest rates in the U.S. are so high, right? So everybody wants to take advantage of the high U.S. interest rates. So the dollar strengthens like crazy. And this is, you know, during the first term of Reagan, right? So the dollar is strengthening like crazy. We have these super high interest rates. And And the converse of this is, as the dollar's strengthening, the yen is depreciating versus the dollar very quickly, right? And what this does is it gives the Japanese export machine, which had already been, primed in the 70s, right? We'd already started seeing the Japanese cars, sort of take over Detroit, from in 70s, right? Because American cars were not small enough to fit for the OPEC oil embargo of 73 and people, the gas price increase. So Japan was cooking already by 1980, but they just got a adrenaline shot in 1980 because of these interest rate moves in the U.S. Volcker starts jacking interest rates up in 1979 to 20%. 1980, we start having this Paul Volcker-induced rate hike. And then at the same time, we have a massive appreciation of the yen, right? So, before even the appreciation of the yen, we have a massive appreciation of the Japanese stock market and the Japanese property market, right? So why are these things going up like crazy? Because Japanese was an export-driven economy, and the best thing that they could possibly do was have the dollar go strengthened, right? So the strength of the dollar was fantastic for Japan, right? So we had these sort of two pictures. The U.S. was struggling. So if you look kind of on this graph, I kind of caught that midsection of the graph, from 86 to 89 at Solomon, those first 3 years. And then I got an offer I couldn't refuse.
Krueger has been bullish in 2025 and believes that people in the crypto world don't understand that there's $20 trillion of actual movable money. He says the relentless math of this asset coming in is going to be mind-boggling. And once you give 100 million Americans with brokerage accounts access to buy Bitcoin, that's really when the game starts. He stands firm that Bitcoin is going to be the primary beneficiary of the next price explosion, which ETFs will play a major part in.
The power law tells us over very long cycles, we are roughly going at very long cycles. We're going to be growing at this power of the time Genesis block, and that power is, let's call it 5.6 right now, right? That's roughly where it is. I don't know what this particular analysis says, but when I did it on a monthly basis, it's about 5.6 right now, right? And what that tells us, and the green line is the one I view as the most significant in your chart, right? That green line there. That green line is kind of the trend line. And what we do in the power law is, and the fact that we are anywhere close to a line here is just remarkable, right? Because, this is Bitcoin growing from 10 cents to 63,000, right? Or 73,000 at its peak, right? So, we've gone from 10 cents to 100,000, right? So we've gone 6 orders of magnitude, right? 10 to the power minus 1 to 10 to the power 5, right? So 6 orders of magnitude in 15 years. And it's all happened on a straight line. That's a power law. That's remarkable. Now, if you follow this power law out and you sort of go, okay, when do we hit 1 million? Well, we hit 1 million on the trend line right around 2034, right? On this one is, 2034, right? You can barely see the numbers on your screen. You'll notice that we have, and we all know in this, we have these big bull markets, and you can call them bubbles, right? They're bull markets, but they have a very sort of exponential function type behavior when you're in one of these bull markets. And I think the best example is 2017. Go back to 2017, right? And look, we went from 1,000 on kind of the beginning of 2017 to 19,000, right? And that was in a year. We went up 20 times. That is completely unsustainable from every single part. The power law says it's unsustainable. Your intuition tells you it's unsustainable. When you were back there in 2017, we felt that it was unsustainable. Everybody in the market in mid-2017 was like, this bubble's going to pop. But nobody knew when it was going to pop. Right? If you knew when it was going to pop, that would be great, but you don't. So, we were trending, and you can see, look at in 2017 when it crossed the line. It was about 2,600. So we crossed this trend line at 2,600, right? And then we just kept on going, right? Just kept on going up. And we went up to several times the trend line, right? So it just kept on going. There was a massive bubble in terms of amount higher than the trend line, right? Now, could we go massively higher than the trend line right now? We could. We could go up, to 4 times the trend line, in next year, right? If we do go up to 4 times the trend line in the next year, yeah, I think we're going to be somewhere like 500,000, I definitely think that's possible, right? And if we get to 500,000, it will feel a lot like it did in 2017. We are going to have that same feeling of, oh my God, this thing's going to 1 million and then 2 million and it's going to be crazy. And you're going to have other people saying this thing is a complete bubble. You need to get out now, sell all your Bitcoin, etc. Right? So, could we get into a bubble? We could. Are we 100% going to get into a bubble? Unknown, right? It's not clear. No, I think that these bubbles, they're very hard to predict. I think, could 2017 have ended somewhere lower than 20,000? Yeah, it could have, right? But, once these bubbles really start getting going, it's just like anything else. It becomes pure speculation. It becomes a mania. It becomes like the South Sea bubble. It becomes like the .com bubble. It becomes like the Nikkei bubble, right? So we could have a bubble that is formed next year. We could, right? It's entirely possible. The power law tells us roughly how big that bubble we can expect it to go, if it does go. And the power law says, it could go up to 500,000, maybe. Notice that the last time it didn't get there, right?
Krueger shares his bold predictions for Bitcoin in the months ahead. Now that he's laser-focused on Bitcoin, Krueger not only lays out the revolutionary Bitcoin power law model, but also explains why he believes a $1 million Bitcoin isn't just possible, it's inevitable. He says the current volatility is a natural phase of Bitcoin's maturation and could present a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity. Krueger highlights how Bitcoin's decentralized nature and finite supply make it uniquely positioned to withstand economic turbulence, asserting that it will eventually outcompete traditional fiat currencies. His conviction? Bitcoin isn't just a speculative asset, it's the future of money, and those who invest now could be part of a financial revolution. What do you think about Fred Krueger's prediction for Bitcoin and where he sees the world of crypto in the months ahead? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next video.